You're listening to Real Talk with Waz. I'm very excited to have you. Enjoy this episode. But all right, Mike.
Yeah.
I appreciate you for coming on. I want to start the episode by you talking a little bit about who you are and what you do, what you got going on.
Musician, singer, songwriter, frontman of Over the Bridge, reggae rock band from Gloucester, Massachusetts. Entrepreneur. I own a small scale event production company.
Okay.
So I run like stage and sound and booking for a couple like local festivals, some events that happen annually and semi-annually. It started out of just like necessity because the band was getting hired for these like parties and it's private events and things like that, like small beer festivals or like things like that. And then nobody was running production and they didn't have any like professional sound or anything like that. So I'm just like, I can do that.
So like the stuff set up for the bands that are performing there before they even get there type of thing?
Yes.
Wow.
So when you ask those kind of questions, people reach out and want to book you. And then you ask those kind of questions and they can't answer it. And I'm like, well, I can do that for you. So it was like out of necessity. So I started a small scale production company and I'm running probably 12 events a year now.
Okay.
And that's cool. So I use those to basically create opportunities for the band.
Makes sense.
I have, for instance, in May 11th, we have Oddity by the Ocean Beer Festival, which is I partnered with Jay Gray, who's the owner of Odd by Nature Brewing. It's in York, Maine.
Okay.
And he had a beer festival for his anniversary. And we've been doing it for 3 years now. And the first year was just Over the Bridge. We brought our own speakers, we did our own stuff. And then fast forward to now 3 years later, we're flying Fortunate Youth out from San Diego. We have like, I don't know, the budget's in like the tens of thousands right now. Bringing in a 100-foot stage. I hired Ocean AVL, which is like professional sound and production company. And we went from like, I think like 400 or 500 to like pushing 1,000 this year. So that's cool.
1,000 people?
Yeah, 1,000 people.
Wow.
We
it's
brought
a packed show.
So we got like four bands on the lineup, but it started as just a necessity, and then it's kind of rolled with that. The band's doing really good. Our album was the #1 reggae album on the iTunes reggae chart in 2022.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I gotta say, you got a really cool, unique style.
Yeah.
Just like your band in general. It's cool how you blend reggae and rock.
Yeah.
In a sense that it's like it can blend with so many different personalities and people. You know what I mean?
It does. I started as a rapper when I was a kid. And I'm 32 now, but when I was in college was when like the college rap, backpack rap thing was going on. Mac Miller, Sammy Adams, whole thing was going on. And so like that was like all I wanted to do was like be a rapper. And then I got my first guitar when I was like 7. But yeah, man, musician, entrepreneur. I'm like always moving and shaking, always helping other people with booking. And there's a ton of musicians that come to me all the time for like advice and stuff because now I'm like 15 years in the game. So it's like I have, I met you at a gig. I'm meeting all kinds of people all the time, from famous people. I've played for senators.
You probably met some crazy people.
Yeah, at gigs, it's so crazy the connections I made from music, and I've been able to turn that into profit and into business. So when I first was doing it, I was always begging people to let me play, and now
they're begging you to play.
Now
right?
I'm getting paid. Yeah, I'm getting paid. So it's.
So are the bars paying you to come out now? Like, they're probably paying you a little bit more than when you first started.
Oh
right?
yeah, dude. It was like it's probably double, triple what it started when I first started. It was like $150 a show. And
that's like
sweet. Probably double, triple that. Yeah. So it's.
Oh yeah.
I get paid whether the bar's packed or not. So that's pretty good. Last year I did 310.
Okay. 310 shows?
310 gigs, yeah.
Wow.
I was pulling doubles and triples and
dude, that's
like
crazy.
One of those things where you just like
it's almost one a day.
Yeah,
for the year.
Two a day. Some days, a couple times I did triple, but I told myself I wasn't going to do that to myself.
Yeah, no,
again. It was too much.
How would you do that? A morning session,
it's
lunch, and then dinner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I do like a 2 to 5 and then like scoot to another place for like an hour set at a festival and then like go to a next place from 9 to 12. And
how do you find time to eat?
You just in the car. I got a nice bag of snacks. So honestly, for those kind of days where I'm on the road all day, I bring a cooler of food, and you gotta eat. Honestly, that's like the biggest thing. Is like when you're not eating and hydrating and stuff. Yeah, you're like your body hurts on top of like being exhausted all day.
Yeah, and then you get like that added like stress just from like
not feeling good.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So I'm like super into health too. That's been a thing for the last
you're consistent
like,
at the
years.
Gym too.
Yeah,
and
man.
Being that consistent in the gigs and the gym, like that's
just
tough
carries
to do.
Into everything. Yeah, it's been something that I've been serious about for a long time. My family kind of isn't so healthy, and so I've been really serious about that because I don't want to end up that way, obviously.
Yeah.
And so I'm in the gym probably 5 or 6 days a week. For a couple hours a day. I actually just was on the gym when I was on my way here. I'm like eating in the car on the way here.
Committed.
Yeah, I was like, I got exactly 2 hours before I have to go talk to Kyle. Like I got there and I was on the treadmill, like messaging you, like, when do you need me here, just to make sure that I didn't like skip it or wasn't late. But
you hit cardio regularly?
All the time. Yeah. So for the last year, I was like doing a bulk thing. I had a personal trainer and I was like eating like a cow and just lifting super heavy. I put on a bunch of muscle and I got like really heavy. In the last like 4 or 5 months, I've been like really dialing in the cardio and staying consistent with like the calories and stuff. I'm like, anything I do, I just kind of have to like go really hard in it. So I'm like counting calories. I'm hitting macros every day. I'm on supplements. I'm like,
I just started tracking too. Yeah, it's tough.
It's tough. It is tough.
Hard to do.
If you track for a couple months and then you just kind of like know what to eat. You're eating the same kind of things every day. You know, like, all right, I'm eating a half a cup of oats in the morning with 1 scoop of peanut butter.
Yeah.
You like remember that. You don't have to like track it every single day. So I'm tracking some days where I'm like, if I go out for like a business meeting or something, I have dinner or something like that. Those days that like break from your regular routine and your discipline, that's when I'm like, I wonder how much this meal that I got. So I'm not like,
how much is this gonna mess me up?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's been a good couple years, man, and I've been doing it for a long time, and the last couple years have been the best ones ever.
That's awesome to hear.
We've been rocking, dude. It's been good. We dropped the album in 2022. It's the #1 reggae album on the iTunes reggae charts. Completely independent, no record labels, self-funded, self-marketed. Did all the stuff ourselves. And we just got really lucky. Lucky that we have people that support us. And I'm from Gloucester, so I don't know if you've ever been down there. It's like a small little island, tight-knit community where literally everyone
knows everyone. It's a nice community,
everyone.
though.
So I have like a head start over everybody, no matter what. Like when we were coming up, when we first started the band, there was like voting competitions and stuff. And I just knew 1,000 people were going to vote for us no matter what, just because that's from Gloucester.
Yeah.
If you share it to the page and then everybody's like,
people really support this part of the country in general. I feel like someone's from Mass, it's like, vote for that, you know?
Exactly, especially from Gloucester. It's like a whole different planet sometimes. And so being from Gloucester, we've had tons of like tight-knit family and friend support that kind of pushed us ahead of other bands and stuff who don't have that kind of backing and stuff. So we've been able to turn that into opportunities that we've taken advantage of to grow and to get on shows and we won competitions to play our first big shows in Boston and do those kinds of things. And then we go there and show up and smash them and roll that into, what we're doing now. So it's been,
that's a long journey. So like,
dude, it is.
So like, take me to like when you first started doing gigs, like were people believing in you? Like how did it start out?
In Gloucester, it's small little town, and there's really nothing going on. And especially for like when we first started gigging and playing gigs, I didn't have my own speakers. I didn't even have my own guitar. I didn't have anything. I just knew that we needed to make something to do because there was nothing going on. And it was just like,
so boring. Where'd you get all that stuff?
So I would just like borrow it or like, rent it from a friends. And I had some friends that were DJs and stuff that I would borrow their speakers. And my dad was a musician, so I would like borrow his guitar or like stuff like that. And we started throwing shows before I was 21. They wouldn't let us play at the bars. So my mom would help me rent like the local like room upstairs from the bookstore.
That's
and
awesome.
We would throw a show when I was like 17, 18, charge $5 at the door. Wow. And there was nothing going on for 17, 18-year-olds in high school. So the whole entire grade would show up, right? And we'd have like 200 kids at the show.
Yeah.
And we're making $5 a head.
The poor library. They're probably like, keep it down.
It was like the library. There was like this place, Mystery Train, that we had a show upstairs. And it was just like, whatever. We couldn't play at the bars yet or do any of that stuff. So we just kind of made our own way. And
it's cool that your mom was there to like kind of set it up for you.
She's a big influence for me.
Big supporter.
She like drilled it into my head that I could do anything I wanted when I was little. Maybe a little too much. Maybe like gassed me up a little too much. Like, but now as an adult, like I believed her, you know, and I just,
that's a good thing.
Yeah. She was always right there. She's my biggest cheerleader still to this day. Like if you follow me on any of my pages, you probably see my mom on them somewhere.
Yeah, I've seen her on a couple posts.
Yeah, absolutely have. And it started like that. We were just throwing our own shows and making something to do. And then it got bigger and then we got older and then we were hired by the bars and then we started slamming these bars because as we got older, everybody else was 21 too. So then where everybody was coming out to shows. I was rapping then. So we were doing booze cruises.
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, so once we turned 21.
Where were you doing those? In Gloucester?
Yeah. So the captain and the owner of the boat was like a family friend, and it was a whale watch boat. So we would do like 3 or 4 every summer, and they would sell out, and like a couple hundred people on the boat. Yeah. And a friend of mine was a DJ, so we'd have him DJ, and I would rap, and then the band started. I was playing gigs and trying to get into that, and then a friend of mine was a manager of a bar in town, asked me if I could play a regular gig because he was managing and they needed music. So that was my first residency that I ever did. It was at the Madfish Grill, which is closed now. But shout out to Johnny Mac. If you watch this, I love you, Johnny.
Johnny Mac.
And he's actually a life coach now, so one of the greatest kids ever. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, he brought me in and I was doing just a solo thing and then he was like, can you put together a band? So I hit up my friend's older brother who was playing bass at the time, who like taught me how to, showed me Sublime and some of my favorite bands ever. And we threw a band together. And then that rolled into what we have now. So Over the Bridge, that was like our first show there. We just
What year was that?
Oh man, probably I want to say like 2014, something like that. 2015, somewhere around there. We did our first show as like our first ever full band show.
And then when did that first album drop? 2022, you said.
Yeah. So we did a 5-song EP that was self-recorded in the Warehouse of Life in Color. You know, like the paint party. I don't know if you ever heard of that. Like it's a tour that goes around the country. It's like a DJ paint party. And they hire like
do they throw paint and stuff?
Yeah. It's like a big paint party. But they had all this extra gear in the warehouse. And this dude, Nate Shaw, he's actually passed away. Rest in peace, Nate. And he asked us he saw us at some gig somewhere from being from the North Shore. I think he's a Beverly kid. And he asked us if we wanted to come in and record. So we did a 5-song EP. And it was just like songs that we had just written. We didn't know what we were doing or anything. And we toured and played a bunch of big shows off of just that one little self-done thing for so long. And then finally we were like, we need a real album. So we got together, and Dave, who's the other singer and frontman of the band, who, if you were at the Goat Man, he played on Mondays for a while. He actually just moved to Utah, but
what was his name again?
Dave Campbell.
Dave Campbell.
He plays the violin. I don't know if you've been there.
I have seen him. Yeah,
he's very unique. Yep. There's nobody else out there that's doing that. But he plays violin in our band too, and it gives us a little edge because there's not a lot of reggae bands out there.
Is he the one that plays his trumpet too? Or is that a different guy?
That's Andy. Andy plays the trumpet. Okay. Yeah, but same crew. Yeah. And so that was he was part of all that going on, and we wrote the songs together, and the album came out, and we had I don't know, you know who Sublime is, the band Sublime. So if you've ever seen the Sublime Son, the guy who designed that, his name's Opie Ortiz. We met him through some tour thing through a friend of a friend, and he did our cover art. So he was he's on the cover of Sublime's Robin the Hood album. He's the guy with the no 2 front teeth on the cover of the album.
No way.
He designed the sun and was Bradley Knoll, the lead singer's tattoo artist. He tattooed Sublime on his back. But we were friends with him now.
Yep.
And but when we were doing the album, we reached out to him and we're like, man, we'd be honored if you do our album covers. If you see the album cover, it's signed on the bottom, Opie Ortiz 2019. So
that's awesome.
He did our cover art, and then we actually went on a 5-state tour with him and his band, Long Beach Dub All Stars, and the singer of Sublime, Bradley Nowell's son, Jacob Nowell, and his band. So this year he's the frontman of Sublime. So they just brought him in to sing with his dad's band. Yep. And they're headlining Coachella. They're playing Brightside Fest. They're coming back in like the actual lineup of Sublime with the original bassist and drummer and the lead singer's son are touring now. So that's like huge. It's like the biggest reggae name, like world recognized. And we're like, I have his number in my phone. But it started from all these little things, and then everybody kind of grew together, and now Jacob's the front man of Sublime, and that's amazing. So it's been a crazy journey of just like kind of connecting dots and getting in where you fit in, and just rolling with opportunities and taking advantage
of everyone that comes.
Every
right?
single one, dude. Like when it shows up, you just gotta know how to take it and know how to take advantage of it. And we've been really good at that.
Yeah. And, now, what would you say your biggest obstacle has been in these past years?
Biggest obstacle?
Or one of the biggest? I'm sure there's a lot.
I'd say like probably life. Life gets in the way of like all kinds of things, right? So like business is business, and then like personal things like family or like friends or getting involved with things that don't have to do with business can distract you. A lot of distractions, girls, partying, all those things. Like when I was in my 20s, when I was your age, and I was 21 and stuff, I was more concerned with like being cool and not as serious about life and doing what I want to do as I probably should have been. I'm not saying that it's ever too late to get serious, and everything happens like kind of in its own time. Yeah. And I had to learn all the lessons that I learned so that I could be the guy I am today. I wouldn't take it back. But I'd say, like life got in the way so many times between like me and goals and things that I was trying to do, because
when did you have that realization?
Probably honestly within the last like 5 years, I'd say. When I was like,
was there like a specific moment that you remember? It was like
there was a few things, mainly like loss. I had in 2019. So when our album released in 2022, it was actually 3 years old already. Okay. And in 2019, we lost our bass player, who was my best friend's older brother. And it was right after he recorded his bass parts. So that was like a hit to us. We kept going and did a small tour in New England after that, but it was tough to like get back on the stage, and like it was like one of the hardest things I've ever gone through in my life. Yeah. The way he passed away, the way everything happened. Was deep, dude. It was heavy, and it was hard to keep that momentum going and like pull myself up by my big boy pants and like get back in it and keep going from things like that. And those are things that are like outside of your control, like life events that happen, that you can't predict and that you can't, plan for. So it was like learning how to kind of pick myself back up after things knock you sideways, or like losing a job that was funding everything, and then all of a sudden, I got to figure out how am I going to pay my rent, let alone how am I going to record another album or anything else. Like when you're in survival mode, you can't really focus on your goals and what you're trying to do. You're worried about surviving, paying the rent, feeding yourself, like getting the next job. And I have a degree in finance. I went to college, 4-year college. I went to Jacksonville University. Okay. Degree in finance, and I studied finance and economics. And I worked in an office, did logistics for like 8 years. And I always knew like I wasn't very happy doing that. It was just kind of something I had to do.
Paying the bills.
Paying the bills, right. I was stuck in the same traffic every day, going to the office, like just the monotony of that thing. And like just everywhere you work, no matter what, it's always going to have its like ups and downs. And there's always going to be like, its share of drama and like whatever you don't want to do. Regardless, no matter where it is. But it was like, so I was stuck in survival mode for a really long time. And It wasn't probably until right around 2019, like COVID, when like that whole thing happened, and everything that was safe for me just got pulled out from under me anyway. And I was like, well, if
because you couldn't perform.
Yeah, I actually did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, a lot of people did. And I went down to Key West, Florida, where they were still open. And I lived in Key West for 2 months on a friend's couch, and I played every single day while I was down there.
Good man.
And just kind of found a way to make it happen. Yeah. But I quit my job. I was a warehouse manager at a carpet warehouse in Danvers, Mass, for like a year and a half. And when the whole thing happened, it was like anything that I considered stable in my life and safe was just like gone. And I'm like, well, if you can lose all this stuff doing something I don't want to do, and like I might as well give it a run. Yeah. And I had an agent that was booking like small gigs, and I was basically full-time gigging, full-time working, and I owned a smoke shop for like 4 years. So I was working at the shop too. So I was doing 3 full-time jobs, and it was taking its toll on me. Like mentally, physically, I was just exhausted. I didn't have time. I wasn't motivated to like do anything else. And I don't know if there was like a specific moment that I was like, all right, I'm going to get rid of all these other things and music's my thing. But music has been my constant. It's been the only thing that's been consistent for me my whole life. I've always loved music. It's always been there for me. It's been an outlet for me. That's how it started when I was a kid. They were like, this kid can't sit still. I was a problem child. So like, get him a drum set or a guitar or something.
That's awesome.
So that's how it started. And then it's just always been a part of my life. And no matter what survival mode I was in or what kind of life threw at me, music was always there. And it always will be. Yeah. So I was just like, I'm just going to get serious about this and go for it. Yeah. And the agent that was booking my gigs at the time actually encouraged me. He was like, dude, you're going to rock it. Like, you have this skill set. Like, not a lot of musicians are, have a degree in finance and understand business and even simple as like wording an email. It's not like a musician's forte. Like they're not.
It's good to have that secondary skill.
Yeah. So I was like, for a long time, I was business first and music second, which is why I've done so well in music, is because I do have the business mindset first. And when I was in college, I wanted to drop out like 10 times because all my friends were studying music or doing music. And I was stuck in these finance classes. Like, this is not what I want to do. And I knew it wasn't what I wanted to do.
So what made you stick it out?
I just love it, dude. I can't explain like exactly.
Can't do things halfway.
Yeah, I can't do anything halfway. It's like I'm not gonna go halfway in the gym. I'm not gonna go halfway in relationships with my girlfriend and friends. Any of those kind of things. Like, I give 100% of myself to. I'm an all or nothing kind of guy. And I was just like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go all in on music. And it's been 5 years now. It's 2024. 5 years I've been self-employed.
That's awesome.
The last 3 years I've made 6 figures.
That's awesome.
Just singing songs on a stool and touring and doing the stuff. It's hard, dude. It's hard. I found my lane in the like the bar gigs and stuff. And I did, like I said, I did over 300 last year. And that's like not a level of commitment and dedication that a lot of guys are willing to do. Exactly. Right? Like, because it takes a significant time and energy investment to even do that. So it's like the further along you get in it, the smaller the pool gets, right? So it's like, how many guys? I saw a Billy Strings interview the other day, like, but it's an example. It's like, how many guys do you know that can play guitar, right? A lot. Yeah. How many guys can play guitar and sing at the same time? A little bit more. Yeah. How many guys can play guitar and sing at the same time and have good business sense? Right? Get smaller and smaller. How many guys can play guitar, sing at the same time, have good business sense, and are willing to play 300 shows a year? Yeah. It starts to get smaller and smaller, right? You have to be a little tapped in order, like, I'm kind of crazy about it. It's like...
It's that addictive personality.
Yeah, it totally is. And it's I'm committed, dude. I'm into it. And there's a stretch of time where it doesn't make sense to the average person who doesn't believe in it, right? So like,
if you didn't believe in it, there's no way you're going in 350 days.
No way. Right? There's days where I wake up and I'm like, my body hurts. I'm exhausted, dude. I just did 18. Today is the 19th. I've had 2 days this entire month where I didn't play a gig, and I did office work. I was shipping merchandise orders. I was meeting with people on podcasts. Today's the second day this month that I didn't have a gig, and I'm on a podcast, like doing something else, still working.
Yeah, you're committed.
Right.
It's sick. So I love it.
It's every day. It's an everyday commitment, and it became it's my life now. It's my identity. It's not my job. It's not even a passion. It's like who I am. That's
a good way of putting it.
Part of my life, right? So I'm not like ever off the clock. Dude, I'm always my name's Mike Frechette. We just rebranded to Mike Jetti, but
Mike Jetti.
I'm Jetti. That's it. That's who I am now. You know, like no matter where I am, if I'm out at a restaurant, if I'm on the podcast, if I'm at my mom's house, like it's 24/7, and not a lot of people are willing to commit like to that, you know, and give themselves. And I see you and your friends and what you guys are doing, and the real estate game is very similar, right? It's like there's a lot of people trying to do it. It's not easy. If it was, everybody would do it.
Exactly.
And to be successful at it is even harder than to just get started. And you have to be
consistent.
And you have to be consistent and dedicated and work hard. And I'm sure there's times where you're like, did I make the right choice? Like, is this right? Like,
a lot of the times I'm just pacing. Like, I'm like, am I doing the right things?
All the time, man.
What should I change? Like, there's always that constant, like, you know, rabbit wheel you're like chasing. It's like, okay, where's the next piece of gold? The next piece of gold. And like, you know, I feel like people would look at a musician. It's like, they're not doing that really, but dude, you are like, it's inspiring hearing like your story, because it's like, you know, a lot of people can take what you're doing and implement it in anything that they're doing.
Anything.
You know, you just got to be consistent and never quit.
It's corny, but you really can do anything that you put your mind to.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen in the time frame that you think, and it's not going to be easy. If you think it's going to be easy, you're already wrong.
Yeah, you're setting yourself up for failure right away.
You got to expect it to be hard. You got to expect the long nights. You got to expect to be exhausted, and you got to push through all that.
Yeah.
The little voice in your head. Most people would say bail when it's like, you know, self-preservation, right?
When it gets hard, just run away.
It gets hard. It's like, nah, man, I'd rather go get a real job. You know, there's times where my parents or my family have been like, you need to be realistic about your music goals. I just never listened to that. I'm like, it might not be realistic to you or to the normal person, but I know I'm not a normal person. I never felt like the average person. I've always been there's only one
Mike Jetti.
That's it. Yeah. Too. You know, I've always been the standout class clown. I've always been like, you know, that just different than the rest of everybody else. And I'll kind of like use that to my advantage and just embrace it.
Now, how would you describe yourself in 3 words there?
3 words. I'd say relentless is one of them. Relentless, committed, and disciplined, I'd say.
Okay.
And
I can see it.
I haven't always been those 3 things, but today I would say that's those 3 things. I'm relentless in what I'm doing. I could fail tomorrow, right? All my residencies could get pulled, right? I play for a restaurant group that keeps me employed all year round. If they could just pull the contract today, I'd go find another contract, you know?
Yeah.
I wouldn't quit. I'm disciplined in the fact where I'm like, I'm in the gym every day. I'm doing the right things all the time. I'm networking. I'm staying to my plans. And it takes a lot of discipline to stay on the track. And
I agree.
Sometimes removing those distractions and things hurts. Like you can't hang out with the same friends you used to hang out with. You can't. I don't live in the same town that I grew up in.
It's probably a good thing.
Yeah, it is. It totally is. Yeah, it definitely is. But yeah, I'd say relentless. I think driven is what I said. I got committed. Committed, right.
Now I pre-wrote 3 words that I would describe you. Yeah. It's kind of a new thing that I was like playing with.
All right, I'm interested.
So I'm like, I put consistent.
Okay.
Passionate.
Love that.
And contagious.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you are always doing gigs. Yep. I always see your face. Yep. You're always out. You're posting on social. And I agree with that, you are so passionate, and it shines through in your artwork and everything that you do.
Sometimes too passionate.
Yeah.
Maybe like too passionate.
Yeah, sometimes too passionate to the point where you're like, you know, you got to take care of yourself too, you know?
I get too charged up sometimes. Yeah. Too much for some people. Or
but then that gets to the contagious part. I'm like, your energy is just so, you know, contagious, and you could get people, you know, like dancing or singing, you know, and that's not everyone can do that.
when I was a kid, I maybe used, it's kind of a superpower to to affect other people and to kind of lead. And maybe I led it in the wrong direction a lot of the times, but I had to learn all those mistakes and I learned everything that I know the hard way. I did everything wrong first before I figured out how to do it right. And I could tell you stories. We'd be here for a couple of days.
We'll save that for another time.
Dude, but so now I'm like, I'm recently sober. I haven't drank or smoked or done anything in the last this whole month. And that's another thing that I've committed and been disciplined towards the goals. And I'm trying to leave a mark, a lasting impression, and use my natural ability to influence and lead in positive ways,
That's powerful.
And to just like lead by example, by doing the right things. And there's not too many people that are like making it cool to be a good man anymore. It's like,
you know what? You are so right.
Yeah.
Everyone is trying to be like everyone else, and nobody knows what a real man is, or like, a genuine person.
Yeah.
Like who is a genuine person nowadays? It's like everyone you see on your social media feed looks like a genuine person. It's a highlight
reel for everybody. It's fake. Even the big bands that you see, like everybody's making everything seem cooler than it is. And even myself, perception's reality in the game. Like, if you see them and everybody perceives like you're the biggest whatever band and you guys are doing all these big things and people buy into that, And I'm sure it's the same thing in the real estate game. They think
100%.
You're the best agent in the area and you're like, swinging all the deals, then people want to work with you and do the things. But it's about having a good mix of that confidence and like being that guy and also being honest with people, like
comes down to your morals almost.
Yeah, 100%. And not a lot of people have that kind of like moral compass at all. And like their own like personal contract with themselves, like rules that they just won't break. Like I don't cross people, dude. I don't lie to people. I don't cross people. I deliver on my promises. If I say I'm going to be here at 6:30 for the podcast, I'm showing up at 6:30 for the podcast, It's those little things. That. Yeah, those little things carry on a whole bunch of other areas of my life, and just being consistent in those things and inspiring other people to chase their dreams or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be music. It could be real estate. It could be, you want to be a dog groomer. I don't know, but like, there's a simple code that like can be copy and pasted into any of those things. And maybe I'm a little outspoken about my opinions sometimes on like how to do things. And like, but it's like, I have time to fuck around, man. Like it's just, life's too short to like half-ass any of this stuff. Like get serious about it now. And the sooner you realize that if everybody else is doing all this stupid things, and, I'm really impressed by you and all your friends and like what you guys do. And when I was 25, I was an idiot. I was running around chasing girls. I was spending all my money. I wasn't anywhere near like what I'm doing now. And that's, if you're doing those things to fit in and do those and be cool and to, you're never going to get and be the person that you like want to be. It takes a certain level of sacrifice and sacrificing the cool lifestyle. The fun stuff.
Yeah.
For, future wins.
Yeah.
Is like, that's what it's all about. And everything, like putting your head down and grinding out for a couple of years so that you can buy your first building. So you can, maybe a few less nights out a week, partying with the boys and chasing the girls around. Like you got a couple $100 extra in your pocket every week, and that rolls into other things. And I didn't always have the discipline to do that. I was spending all my money all the time. And, when I was a kid and in college and stuff, I was really concerned with what other people thought about me.
As most that age are.
Yeah. Rather than like what I thought about me and like just being the guy that I want to be. And now it's my success is more because I know exactly who I am, and I carry myself like that guy already,
I like that.
A mentor or somebody that I look up to, this guy's Eric Spofford. I met him at a gig.
He's a cool dude.
Yeah, I met him at a gig at Tuscan Kitchen because he's friends with the owner of Tuscan Brands, Joe Farrow. And he came to a gig with a friend of a friend, Johnny Hickey, who's a filmmaker from Gloucester. And they came to one of my gigs. I sat down with them. We talked a little bit. And I didn't really know who he was at the time. They showed up in a McLaren and I was like, whoa, this is sick, right? So he's hanging out. He came to a couple more of my gigs and he said this the other day because he has a podcast and does this kind of motivational speaking all the time now. And I met him when he had, I think, less than 30,000 followers. Now he has over 1 million and he's doing all this crazy stuff. But he was like, you don't get to where you're going. You don't get all these things and then become the person. You become the person, then you get the things. So, like
that's a good way of thinking.
You know what I mean? Like you gotta be that guy first. I carry myself like I'm a musician. I'm the guy. You know, I walk with confidence. I look people in the eye. I get on the stage and I crush it every time. Doesn't matter if there's 5 people in the room or 500 people in the room. I bring the same passion, same energy. I carry myself like I'm a rock star,
and you have to be content with yourself in order to perform like that. You know,
okay with yourself.
With any career, you have to be content with who you are. You have to know who you are.
Like you've been there before. Like this is and the more you live your life and act like you're already that guy and you're the man that you want to be. Like at some point, this is a Bruce Springsteen quote. Like there comes a time in every man's life where you have to stop waiting to become the man you want to become, and be the man you want to be. Right, and if you're always waiting for the next thing or like trying to become that guy, you never be the guy. You just got to be him. And then you put yourself in that mindset and discipline and making the moves and making the decisions that guy would make. And pretty soon you're that guy.
You want to know what? You bring a whole different energy to entrepreneurship and just this hustle in general, because I personally feel like the hustle culture is all about money and wins first. And then, you know, people are going to start appreciating you.
I know plenty of rich kids who don't have the kind of, you know,
mentality or like confidence or just like, you know, poise.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's a lot of people don't think like that. I know
broke people that live on the street that carry themselves better than a lot of millionaires and stuff out there, dude. It's not about how rich you are. It's like you said, it's morals. It's about who you are as a man. And it doesn't matter if you got $1 million or own 15 buildings or if you are renting the one unit down the street. You know, it's like anybody can be a good man and be admirable and respectable. And you got to be that guy first before you get to those things. And to me, like, there's plenty of kids out there that are successful and like, you know, flashy and do those things, but I don't think that's cool. Like, I'm not like, oh, wow, I'm not impressed by those things, you know? I'm impressed by like who you are as a person, you know? Like Eric is one of the richest people that anybody knows. He's wealthy.
Oh, yeah.
But he's also was one of the best men that anybody knew before all that, you know? Like, and if he was broke again, I know just by talking to him all the time online and stuff that he would still be the guy.
He'd be the same person.
Be the same guy. Right. Yeah. And that to me means more than having 1 million streams or selling out arenas or whatever. You know,
you can never let the money change you.
No, you can't. And it's about being a good man first, dude, and then being a good man with those things and helping other people and helping motivate and inspire other people to be good men or women or whatever. That's kind of like where I'm at now. So my head's at, that's what drives me every day. It's like leading by example and really just like being the person I always wanted to be.
That's great. Yeah. And I think you do. And I think you almost do that through your music too and your performances and that energy that you bring on stage. You give people that sense of, you know, like,
I'm comfortable, man. It's not a gimmick. Like, I'm not faking it.
No, like you almost give them that too. Like you make them feel that way. Right. It's like, wow, this guy is so wholesome and genuine. I'm like, I feel good being here.
He's smiling and laughing and ripping it, and I'm like, you know, then everybody else enjoys that. It makes them comfortable. It makes the, you know, that's the energy I bring. And it's cool that you can see that from the other side, because it's not always easy to like perceive that. A lot of the times, especially being a musician, you're self-conscious. You're like, nobody claps after a song. You're like, oh man, did that suck? Do they like me? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
You know? And you have your days where like everybody's into it and everybody's, you know, clapping and dancing and singing along. And then other days where like nobody's paying attention. And you're like,
and how do you get through those?
It's
when you don't have the applause, or like you're not at your highs. It's like, how do you get through those?
It's not always those highs.
Yeah,
and a lot. That's something that I struggle with still. Is like balancing out those highs and lows. Like when we're ripping huge festivals, or last month we played the Paradise Rock Club in Boston for the first time.
Yeah,
Legendary rock club. It's like one of those notch on the belt things.
How many people were at that?
Almost 800.
Yeah.
I think the cap is like 9 something, but we opened for one of our favorite bands, Bumpin' Uglies, and they're literally one of my favorite bands ever. And so that's cool in itself.
Mm-hmm.
But playing the Paradise is like one of those notch on the belt things. Like anybody who's anybody in Boston.
Yeah.
That's one of the bigger.
That's cool.
Then the House of Blues, then the it's like up the ladder. So to be there was sick, but everything's not always the Paradise show, right? And then we play the Paradise and we're flying high. Everybody's loving it. I brought in a film crew. We made a movie. We've filmed the whole entire set, but it's not always like that. And then going back to like from playing that, having people literally ask me to sign their clothes and buying. We sold like almost $1,000 in merch that night.
That's
like
awesome.
in t-shirts and hats and stuff, and like having all these people come up and show love and like just feeling that high from that, and then going to like an empty goat or like an empty whatever bar it is, like and nobody's paying attention, and like it's more internal then, right? It's like believing in yourself. It's like I know that I don't suck, right? Like if I did,
being content with yourself.
Yeah, it's like okay, I just knowing how to play your part and when. And
do you have like a ritual you do to get into that mood? Like, yeah, because I know before the big show, you're amped up.
Yeah,
you probably had a couple Red Bulls.
Oh, dude, I was fired up for that show.
But like actually, before the go, like, what do you like, or any bar you go to that you know is going to be a smaller gig?
Yeah.
Is there anything that you do to just get mentally prepared for that?
It is a mental game. Sometimes, honestly, being a musician, sometimes on the drive there, I don't even play music. Like I don't blame you. I like it quiet. And I'm like in my space, and you gotta kind of like just remove your expectation of what the gig's gonna be like, right? Because especially in the gigs that I play, it could be a Monday night and something's going on at the arena and there's 400 people there, and I didn't expect that. But if you go there expecting a slow night and to like just go through the motions and like it's gonna be easy and slow, like that, and then there's 400 people there, then it doesn't match up. So you just gotta remove your expectations of what it's gonna be like and always show up the same way consistently. I'm here to play the best I can, to play the songs, to entertain whoever's there, whether it's 4 or 400, and you gotta bring that consistency every time, no matter what it is. And that helps keep it kind of even keel. But I'm not gonna lie, sometimes those highs and lows, man, they hit you hard. So it's like they call it post-tour depression, where like you're on tour and you're flying high and you're on the road and everything's so awesome, and then you go back to like civilian normal life and it's like you're looking around like this, like, what do I do with myself, right? I'm not a rock star today. Like, I'm just Mike, and, I'm doing the dishes, just my laundry.
Like Mike Stud?
Yeah, that's it. I'm just like, so you go from, like, signing autographs to, like, doing the laundry and taking care of the dog.
It's hard doing that stuff, isn't it?
It is.
Because, like, I feel like for real estate, there's a lot of highs and lows as well. It's very up and down. Like, you have a closing, and then it just completely tanks. Right. You have your next one, tanks. Right. It's just... It's up and down.
It could be weeks or days or months in between the next high.
But like when you're doing that day-to-day lifestyle, like it's so hard to just like be present in those moments because you're constantly thinking like you're thinking of that and that closing, that next thing. When it's like, part of you should be present. Just like fold that laundry and smile. Think about what you're doing.
I can relate to that, man. Yeah. That's totally it. Yeah. And at the end of the day, man, like, everybody's just a human, right? Like everybody's a person. Like, I mean, Jay-Z probably doesn't have to do his own laundry anymore, but like at one point, like he did, right? Like he puts on his socks before his shoes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, everybody does. Like, it's knowing that you're just a person, right? Like you're just like anybody else, and doing those little things consistently. And when the highs come up, enjoying them.
Yeah.
And also being grateful for the times that aren't those highs. And in music, it's tough to like be grateful for those slow gigs after those really big shows and stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm still making my living singing songs. I'm still like getting paid to do what I love to do. And I'm still passionate about what's going on. And I think gratitude and focusing on being grateful for everything you do have when those things that you want are missing helps to keep you on the right path and everything's a mental game.
It is.
And if you can win that game first and stay even keel and stable there, and you can set goals and smash them and go about your business. It's like, I know when I was in sales, some of the most successful executives that I know were always just like small victories. They celebrate small victories. He just landed $100,000 deal and he little fist bump back to work, you know? Like, and I like to celebrate my victories. Like,
you have to.
Yeah, you have to, because you work so hard for those kind of things. But it's like those small, consistent things, and knowing that, all right, tomorrow might not be this way, but you're going to show up with the same game face and the same mentality, and removing your expectations of what you think it should be or what you think is going to happen. I'm sure if you have like a showing or, you know, you have a potential customer and you really think, and you're like, oh, this is going to be it. And then it turns out not to be it.
Yeah. That can be deflating.
Yeah. Right. And that
you almost got to just go into it the same, you know, I just go into it. I'm like, I'm positive. I'm a good person, and I'm just here to connect with someone.
Right. Exactly. You know? If you go in it, it's intention. That's a lot of intention, and your intentions speak in your actions. You know, and it's a huge part of success in anything is just showing up with the right intention every day, consistently. And
I think that's what gets you longevity-wise.
Has been like a theme of this talk.
Yeah,
but
I know.
Like, it's important, dude. It's important to do those little things right every day, because then they turn into big things, and they turn into opportunities. And I can't even tell you how many times that I've played a bar with 5 people in it, and I showed up with the same energy, and I didn't half-ass it. Yeah. And I wasn't like moping in the corner, like, man, nobody likes me. I was ripping it. And then the dude in the corner, the one guy that's there, is a really wealthy guy and hires me to play his backyard party, and I make $1,000 in a day because of that one dude who saw me. Or that actually just happened. That's a real story that just happened.
That's awesome.
I was playing the Goat brunch, and then somebody saw me, and his neighbor throws parties in the backyard all the time. So he sent a video on Instagram to the neighbor, and the neighbor slid in my DMs the next day. And then this weekend I made my whole rent in one gig.
That's awesome.
Playing this guy's pool house.
Good for you.
Yeah. So it's like, it's you never know, right? And my dad, he was a musician. He passed away, but he didn't teach me too many things. He wasn't a very good dad, but he did tell me, whether it's 5 or 500, you always have to perform the same way, because you never know who's going to be in that 5. You know, you never know. And the same thing with like networking and stuff, right? Like you could be in a room of people who with real estate, you could be in a room of people who you don't think are wealthy or potential buyers or could help you, or, you know, in any way. And you're just carrying yourself and you're talking and out of your neck, and, you know, and then these people might not work with you. But or you could show up as a humble, like, good person and connect with these people. And then next thing you know, that guy's an investor who owns half of Hampton Beach or something. You know what I mean? And like, you never know.
That actually happened. I mean, it wasn't a big like investor like that, but I went to a networking event, and I was always like kind of iffy about networking events, because I'm like, oh, I got to put on this facade. I got to, everyone's just like sugarcoating everything. Nice, like, oh yeah, smiling. And I'm like, I got to put on that face. And I went to one and ended up getting a client. Yeah. And he was my first closing of this year.
Really?
Yeah. And I got him from going to that networking event and just talking to people, getting to know the people around there. And it was, you know, you just got to show up and be yourself.
People, especially in like sales roles and in services or real estate or products, like they're not really buying like the product. They're buying you. Yeah. You know, it's a trust thing. Especially if you're buying a house, like the biggest purchase that most people are ever going to make.
Exactly.
There's a million realtors. You could Google realtor near me and like,
and hopefully my face pops up.
Hopefully I think it probably does. Actually.
It probably does.
It probably does. But like, they could literally work with anybody. And the difference is your personality and who you are as a person, right? You carry yourself and you speak to people with respect and dignity, and they trust you and they want to work with you. And that's the same thing with music, man. You know, like I treat everybody with respect, no matter if it's a small bar gig or at the headliner at a festival or whatever it is. And that translates into other opportunities. And people want to work with us. They want to help us. And I've spent so many years doing that and treating people right and helping everybody, regardless if it makes me money or not. And now people want to help us.
That's why you are still in the business.
Yeah. People want to see us win. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those people are helping us win now.
Yeah.
Because I've known them for 5 years and they've seen me grinding and they know I don't cross people and they know I'm a good dude and they know that I deserve it. Yeah. They think I deserve it. And
you do.
And it's, you know what I mean? And that's, for a long time, I didn't think I deserved it, right? I was like, not the guy. I wasn't this person yet. And now it's like a recent thing where I'm like, I'm confident in myself and I like worked really hard to be this guy and look myself in the mirror and be proud of who I am and the way I conduct myself. And that's it. It's so important. It really is.
Mm-hmm. I know I definitely like look up to you and the way you carry yourself.
Yeah.
Even if you are like a little bit older than me, it's like, dude, it's like you really are a genuine person. Yeah. And I love being around genuine people like you because it's just, you know.
I look up to you guys. Are you serious?
Yeah.
I love you guys. I think you guys are great. I tell my people all the time, I'm like, I got these little real estate friends. They're like in their 20s and they're all savages. And I love that. They're all savages. Yeah. They're great. Like, I got to hang out with these kids. You guys are more motivated and determined and better kids than half the people my age that I know, that I hang out with, that I grew up with, you know?
Yeah.
And it's not an age thing, right? Yeah. It's like, you can be a good person at 17 and have a good head on your shoulders.
That's true,
and you can be a shithead at 50. You know what I mean? Like, not everybody gets it.
That was the thing for me. Like, I felt like growing up, I grew out of friendships, like, a lot. I felt like I had a different friend group, then another friend group, which happens to a lot of people. And then I just like gravitated towards like a little bit older crowd. They were doing a little bit more stuff.
Totally.
And
get it.
That really helped me grow because I was around the mindset.
You just knew you didn't want to do what everybody else was doing. And you naturally surrounded yourself with people who were doing those things and people that you saw that were achieving goals and things that you yourself wanted to do. Same thing with me in music. And it's not even always people that were older than me in music. One of my biggest mentors, my buddy Joe Samba, is ahead of me in the game. He's super talented. He's actually from New Hampshire. And he got signed. I was living on his couch in Key West when he got signed. Oh, yeah. And
that's awesome.
It was like he's been doing it longer than I have, right? He was serious about his music and he's been in signed bands that were touring and doing all those things before. And he's like 2 or 3 years younger than me, but I look up to him.
Yeah.
You know, because he's got a lot of good things to say. And he's been one of the mentors that have helped me because he's a little bit further along in the process. And instead of being like, oh, he's younger and like whatever, I'm like, what can I learn? Like, and I talk to him with like with respect and I'm like, I cheer for him all the time. And we call each other with like, I ask him like, what's going on with this? Like, what do you think about opportunities that are coming up? Or like, and some of the people are older than me. My buddy Paul Haley is the music director for the Flurry Group. He runs Bernie's, Wally's, The Goats, all those places. And he puts on some of the biggest shows in New England consistently all year round. And I look up to him. And anybody else would be like, you know, kissing his ass and like whatever because he is a person, a gatekeeper. He's a person in a position of power that can put you on these big shows with headliners and national headliners and stuff. But we've been friends and I treat him with the same respect as I treat everybody else. And he knows that I'm not just kidding. He's one of my best friends now. And he also is basically, for lack of a better word, my boss. Like he is the person who gave me all the gigs that I have, gives me all the gigs that I can physically take. Like, right? But we weren't always that close. Like, I worked and developed that relationship with him, and now we're like best friends. I'm actually going to dinner with him tonight, and
that's awesome.
But most people would be fake with him, and he can tell, you know. And like, I didn't care that he was like whoever he is, so you know. And I treat him with the same respect as the guy that's waiting the tables or the trash man or whoever else, and that kind of thing led to strengthening our relationship. And now, like, he helps us win. He puts us on shows, and like. It's not a fake thing, you know? And it's so important to carry yourself and speak to people like that. And when you have mentors or people that you see that are in those roles, it's about like approaching them from a real talk kind of perspective, you know?
Yeah.
And not just kind of saying whatever you can say to
boost them up even more. It's like going up to the rich guy, like, oh my God, nice car, man.
That's the last thing they want, you know? It's like...
They almost want to just hear like, hey, how's it going, man?
Yeah, what's up, dude? How you doing? Right. Or like, being an asshole, like I'm gonna be like, yo, why are you being an asshole? Like, you know, like, I'm not,
just being honest.
The same thing, right? It's not always positive. It's not always negative. Like sometimes I call Paul and I'm like, what the fuck, bro? What happened? You know what I mean? Like, and it's not always just like sugarcoating things. It's about being real, no matter which way it goes. You know, and
that's good.
People eventually will respect that about you in any industry. Seriously, and I know from experience, just being real with people and being genuine and honest. Is it's not always the best things, but you'll never regret speaking the truth and being real with people ever. And I don't think anybody else will ever not respect you for doing that.
Well said.
Yeah.
So what are your future plans going forward, do you think, with the gigs and the band?
So the band...
Got new music coming out?
Yeah. So this Saturday I have a 10-hour vocal session to finish the record.
Wow.
We're on our sophomore album. We got 12 new songs coming out. It's a really big project.
That's exciting.
We worked in one of the best studios, the Bridge Sound and Stage in Cambridge, with one of the best engineers, Alex Allenson. It was nominated for Boston Music Award for Studio Engineer of the Year.
Wow.
We were actually nominated in 2023 for a Boston Music Award for Best Reggae Act.
Wow.
And so we're like, we put all of our energy and all of our resources into this new album, and we did 70 hours straight. We did a 7-day lock-in.
Holy cow, dude!
We stayed at a hotel that was right down the street, literally walking distance from the studio, and we locked in, dude. We didn't do anything else and come back up we went in on a Saturday and we left on a Friday, and we did 7 days straight in the studio, 10 hours a day, from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day. And we knocked out the whole album. So we have a sophomore album's coming out. We're really excited about that. And just the momentum that we have from the first album and all the shows that we've been doing and doing those things consistently and showing up and crushing the opportunities. We got a little buzz going on. So future plans, I'd say we're going to finish this album. We're going to start putting out new music. We're going to hopefully get on tour on the road for some bigger acts and finally
that would be awesome.
Get actually on the road. So there's like a level so that you go from like doing covers in a bar band to like writing your own songs and doing small local regional shows to like doing private events to like touring and like traveling and doing that thing. So we're looking to notch up on the ladder with the music. I think my event production company, we have like 12 events right now. I'm looking to sign on more events and bigger, obviously grow those events.
Yeah.
So I'm looking to do more of those, and that's more about making money doing things that I don't even have to be there, right? So I just I'm helping other friends now get on shows with other people and do those things. Solo wise, I just rebranded my name. People have been butchering it for forever. It's actually Forchette. The G makes a sh noise, but everybody's like Jetti, forget. So we just dropped the whole Jetti thing all together and just Mike Jetti. It's just easier. Jetti.
I like it.
Yeah,
it's good to rebrand. I mean, my last name is Wozniak. You know, like when people see the spelling, they're not gonna know how to say it.
No way, right? And it's just like out of experience, people have been butchering my name forever. So I'm trying to. I have a solo album in the works too, simultaneously with all the other stuff. I have probably like 7 or 8 songs that are like ready for the studio.
That's exciting.
Yeah, and they're not anything like any of the other stuff I've ever put out either. It's
Is
like,
it rap?
A little bit? No, there's a little bit, but it's more like singer-songwriter type stuff.
Okay.
Because I have been playing a lot of country shows and doing that kind of like Zach Bryan thing for a while.
I like that style. I could see you really excelling there.
People come. It's a chance for me to like really tell my story, you know, and like be honest and true in the songs and not like always like upbeat reggae music and stuff like that, which our music isn't really always like the cookie cutter white boy reggae thing where it's like smoking weed and all this stuff. It's not. It's true and honest. And I think it takes it even a step further. It's like really introspective kind of stuff where I'm like calling myself out for my own bullshit or like being just brutally honest about how I see things and what I'm doing. And that kind of genre is storytelling, right? So I'm able to tell a bit more of a story, and I think it's going to be really good. And so we've rebranded that. I got a bunch of content that's coming out. I've released a couple of other videos so far. The first YouTube video that I just put out on the new channel. Yeah. And the J. Cole cover.
You've been consistent on socials.
Yeah, so we're just like, I'm trying to stay consistent on socials because like being in my 30s, dude, like I don't like TikTok.
I don't even like TikTok.
I have
and I'm
6
24.
videos on TikTok, and it's only because I literally had to. As so many people are like, you got to get on TikTok. And I'm just like, I don't want to be in the camera doing the dances. I'm like, like that's not me. Man.
Yeah.
Like, the corniness of that is just. But in today's music industry, like if you want to make it in music, you have to have content. And
well, as long as your music is on TikTok, you make a little B-roll of the music in the background.
Like stuff like that. So I'd say being consistent with socials and that I got a solo album coming out, growing everything. I want to buy my first house. I've been renting my whole life. So I hired a financial advisor in
It sounds
October.
like you're getting there.
Yeah. I hired a financial advisor in October. We set up a plan. I'm probably the only musician with a Roth IRA and a life insurance and all this shit now. So
that's awesome.
I have an LLC. I own my LLC. I started that this summer. And that was what I've been using to run all the events and do all this stuff. So I'd say just like growing all those things and staying consistent. I want to buy my first house. Probably hit you up. Honestly, I've been planning on it. Man. I just don't want to hit you guys up till I'm like ready. You know? I don't want to show up and like waste your time or mine, right? Yeah. So I'm gonna have my money in the bank and I'm gonna be ready. Yeah, we're gonna be there. So hopefully this year I'll be ready to call you and we'll go look at some houses together. We'll
That'd be sweet.
A different conversation, but I guess just doing everything. I'm trying to build a life that I don't want a vacation from. Right? I want to do things every day.
That's interesting.
I want to do things every day that even if I had $1 million, I would still do. Right?
Yeah.
Like if I was rich and I had $1 million, I would still show up to this podcast and talk with you. I would have still went to the gym today. I would have still answered the emails and, did my laundry or whatever else was happening in the house. It's about, I want to live a life that I don't want to break from. And because I'm in music and I love what I do.
You should make a song about that.
I'm doing it 24/7, man, and it's not.
Is there a song about that coming?
Yeah, there is.
Dude, that I could see that being a good one.
There absolutely is.
Yeah.
So I think just continuing to build a life that I don't need a vacation from or a break from, and just that I can be proud of. Yeah. I'm like really big, I guess, and I don't know why I'm not like leaving this world like and not leaving anything behind and just being another drop of water in the ocean and just like another person that came and went, like I want to leave a mark here. And
I think you are doing that.
Up till now, I didn't really know what kind of mark I wanted to leave, but I know it's like now I know it's I want to leave a positive mark on this world. I want to lead by example, and maybe other kids from Gloucester didn't think they could make it and they see what I'm doing, or maybe other kids in anything else or, any other industry. And I want to inspire people to go for it, dude. Like, we don't have time for this. Like, you can't, and one of the questions that you sent me before, and I would lead into it, is like, what I say to my younger self? Like, get serious about it now, dude. If you're 16 and you want to be a rapper, do it.
Yeah.
But do it. Don't talk about it. Don't smoke the blunts in the backseat of the car with your buddies and freestyle. Like, do it.
Just
find the rooms to get in. Get serious about life. If there's something you want to do, get serious about it now. If there's something I could have told my younger self, I always knew I wanted to do music. Why did I waste 15 years not doing music?
Yeah.
I just, in the last 5 years of just dialing it in, I've gotten so far. I can't even imagine where I would be if I had been able to just tell myself that when I was a kid. It's just like, get serious about it now. If you really want it, you can do it. It's not easy, but you got to get serious about it. Get serious about life now, today, not tomorrow, right now, and.
But then you get people on the other side of the spectrum where it's like, well, I'm young and I'm not going to be able to do this when I'm older.
See,
and then what do you say to that? It's like we're young. Man, like should we book that trip? Should we do that?
You should book the trips, and it's a balance. Everything in life is a balance, man. It's all about balancing the work and the fun. And I'm not saying like you have to work every single day and do.
Because money without leisure is nothing.
Right. Yeah. And so it's like you can't work all the time, but get serious about it. And I'm telling you now that I know dudes that are 45 years old that are younger than you and me, dude, and they are having fun, dude. In life, when I was...
We're going to be those guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you stay consistent in the gym, you take care of your body, you make the right financial decisions, you're working hard. Dude, when you're 20 or 16 or young like that, you think like, oh my God, when I'm 30, like that's so far away, or like you're so old, or like that it's like so far away, and that, you know, you have to have all these things together by the time you're there. And dude, I'm telling you, I used to think that every single day, and now I'm 32, and I realize that all the people who are 40 and all the people, they are still like, some people have no idea what they're doing. Some people are having a blast, but mostly life goes by. Yeah. And it flies by, dude. Like, it really does, I can't even believe that I'm 32, man. I really can't. Like, I still feel, I speak, I act like, I think I'm always going to have that. You're still young at heart, dude. You're always going to be young at heart. I'm always going to be like that, but when you're young, you think like, oh, getting old sucks. But it's experience, and you build up these experiences and milestones, and you're able to like become who you wanted to when you get to this certain age. But now, especially with like technology and health and stuff, like people are living longer. We're having, 30's the new 20, dude. Like, that's true. Like I know all these 30-year-olds who like are in great I'm in better shape. I would absolutely pound my 22-year-old self at 32. Like, absolutely. I'm in better shape. Everything about my life at 32 is 1,000 times better than it was at 22. And at 22, I thought that my life would be over by 32. I had to have a wife and a house and kids and all the things. And
you have people telling you like, oh, after 30, it's all downhill.
Right? And honestly, for those people, it was downhill for them because they thought it was. And that's their view of it. And if you think that, that's how it's going to be for you. But if you're like,
if you keep filling that bucket, eventually it's gonna tip over, right? Because you just keep saying all this stuff and putting it there. It's like,
speak it into existence. If you think you're gonna be old and sore and I know guys like that. Believe me, I know some sour pickles that are out there that are like my age, that are like that are 50 at 30. There's guys like that. Yeah. It's all a mental game too.
Maybe I should stop complaining about my knees hurting. Like I'm 50.
My knee hurts. It does. But I think it's about getting serious. Then now, if you really want to do something, just do it. Don't block out all the distractions. And it. I'm not saying you have to work every single day for all the rest of your life and avoid having fun with your friends and do those things. But it's for us when you're getting started and when you're launching anything, any kind of new venture, anything, it takes a certain kind of discipline and commitment to it. You gotta block out those distractions, and you have to. Like get super committed and sacrifice the fun for a little bit in order to get what you want done. And then once you start getting that ball rolling and the business is rolling and you own the first building and it'll start snowballing eventually. It starts snowballing. And believe me, dude, if you do the right things longer and longer, all your units and all your houses are going to pay for plenty of fun, man. And you're going to have plenty of time to enjoy that. Life is... It's short, but it's longer than you think. It really is. You have a lot of time. And at 20, I didn't think that, in my 20s, I didn't think that, like, if I didn't get it right now, that I was going to be screwed at 30, right? But at 25, dude, you have time to fuck it up, fix it, fuck it up again, fix it. Yeah. Quit real estate. I forget that sometimes. Do something else. Yeah. Then do it again. Yeah. I think there's a meme that goes around on Instagram, and it's like all these CEOs of companies that started at 39, 42, 45. Steve Jobs was like, old. Yeah.
It doesn't matter how old you are.
It does not, dude.
Like it doesn't. I know. I've seen that. It's like Stevie Wonder was like 50, or dude. Oprah was like 45. When they all got famous. Right. So it's like. Your time's going to come. Yeah, and I'm sure at 20, in their 20s, they thought like, oh, this is never going to work. Or they were doing something completely different. Yeah. And then they pivoted and did something else. Like, I know that I love music, but I don't know if music's going to be the thing that takes me to the moon. You know what I mean? Like, it might not be. Yeah. Maybe I make a couple $100,000 in music and then I invest into houses and then... Yeah. Or that, or maybe I find my production company takes off and that's something exactly. Or... I get into some other aspect of the music industry or something, and it's never closing yourself to those opportunities and stuff. And life, it will show those things to you as you go. 100%. It will, and that's probably one of the biggest things that's been good for me is I have accepted where I'm at, and I'm grateful for it, and I know that I can because I have started back from zero so many times. I've been homeless. I've been on couches. I've had jobs lose. I've had my car basically repoed. I've had my cable shut off. I've been at the absolute low. I've lost girlfriends that I was living with. I moved in with my first girlfriend at 19.
I thought that was it. We broke up. That was the end of my world, dude. I lost my apartment, my dog, my girlfriend, my everything. And I never thought it was going to be the same. But I built it up again. And then I had another girlfriend. And then I lost her. And then I lost that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's always like, you think that, sometimes you think that these things are the end of the line and the end of the world. But it's not over till it's over, dude. You know? We talked about this before we started recording. It's like, it's not over till you quit.
Yeah.
If you never quit, you never lose.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's great, man. That's great advice. And I think people will be able to relate to that really well.
Man, it's like, just keep going.
Yeah,
keep going.
Just keep going.
Just keep going. No matter what you're doing, keep going. It's not the end. So I've lost friends. I've lost family. I've girlfriends, jobs, things that I thought were so big at the time were like the biggest impact in my whole world was shattering. But life continued. And here I'm still here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's part of the resilience. That's life. That's life.
That's good.
Learning from it.
So at the end of every episode, I have a question from the previous guest.
Okay.
And you kind of already answered it, but I'll read it to you. What were the biggest challenges you faced when you were starting out, and how did you overcome them? Can you share a defining moment or turning point in your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, dude. I come from a single mom. I did not have anything given to me in my life. Everything has been an absolute battle. Everything in my life. Going to college, I paid for it myself. I worked every single job you could. I got fired from Panda Express in the mall food court, bro. Like, I was doing anything I could. I've worked every bottom of the barrel job you could think of. Shingle and roofs. I've done landscaping. I've done whatever you can think of. I've done. And in those kind of life things were some of the biggest pain points of my career in life. Losing people and those things, and like thinking that I'm going to be stuck in this place forever, and like getting real negative and down on myself. And it was always myself that was holding me back. It was always my mindset and the way I was viewing those things, and the way I was like, why me? What's the point? You know, there's so many times in my life where I was like, why is this happening to me? Like, what's the point in going? Why should I, why should I keep going? And like, it was always myself that was standing in my own way.
Yeah.
And I can't remember. I'd say loss will teach you a lot. And losing some of my best friends at a young age, and people in my band and people that were really close to me, and the way that I lost them and the way things turned out took me to really dark places in my life. Like, really dark places. Like, not like some points I didn't know if I wanted to be here anymore, and those were thoughts that I was dealing with. And it was when I realized like that life in general, life, health, all this stuff is so fragile, dude. It can be gone in a minute. Literally, I really said bye to my friend last night, wake up tomorrow, and they're gone. And it took a few of those things to show me how precious life is and how lucky we are to have the opportunity to do any of these things, to be here and talk to you, to even be around still is lucky. We're so lucky. And like, people don't really realize how lucky they are and how grateful they should be.
It's important to be
even
grateful.
The tiny little things that you have. And I think that once I started shifting my mindset from all these things are happening to me, why me? What's the point? Like, this sucks. Everything sucks. And I started trying to be grateful for what I did have in my life. And I started appreciating the little things and shifting my mindset. That's when things started really clicking, and I started being able to pick up the pieces of my life and build something that I can be proud of.
Yeah. And you've done that.
Yeah, I have. I can truly say that I'm proud. I'm happy with the guy I am today. And if I went out tomorrow, I know that I did everything in my power, and I worked as hard as I possibly can, treated everybody with respect. I did what I said I was going to do,
and I highly respect that.
Yeah. Thank you,
it's very respectable.
I really do.
I'm grateful that you are here.
Hell yeah. Me too, man.
And I want you to keep killing it.
I don't get to talk to too many people like on my day-to-day, because we're always working and always doing things.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So I don't get to like explain myself or tell the story very often. And I know that people see from the outside, it's like, they think it's still like hard working and all, you know, music and success and all these things, and the things that you see on the outside, you don't really know what it took to get there. Yeah. You know, and to have a chance to
get into that human connection.
Yeah, to explain that, it means a lot to me. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me, man. That's
definitely,
awesome.
Dude. Now, just shout yourself out a little bit. Tell people where they can find you.
So we got the new page. It's Instagram is at Mike.Jetti. That's Jetti. The band is Over the Bridge at OTB Tunes on everything. OTBtunes.com. We have the next big show is Oddity by the Ocean Beer Festival. That's in Cape Nettic, Maine, York, Maine, at Odd by Nature Brewing. You can check us out on Spotify, Apple Music. If you Google Over the Bridge, we'll come up. And actually, if you Google my name, it'll come up now. Like, awesome. You know, there's videos and all those kinds of things. Tap in. If you're a musician that's out there looking to get into it, if they're looking to gig or any of those things, I can plug them in. I can help any way I can.
That's great.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for coming on.
I appreciate it, bro.